Hello, everyone. Welcome to session 15 of LTEC 623 Digital Video Design. In this week's video, we're going to tend to a bit of housekeeping, including office hours and the schedule for the next 3 weeks. Then I want to introduce our final video project, Video Project 3, and then we'll close out by emphasizing some research related to the importance of audio quality. So let's get started. First, I want to remind you that office hours are required this week. The details are fairly simple. There are 20-minute sessions available for you to sign up this Wednesday and Thursday. These are, just like last time, informal one-on-one sessions for us to catch up. Feel free, if you want, to bring questions about the course, digital video design, or graduate school. I look forward to meeting with all of you one-on-one. Please make sure you're signed up. If the available office hours don't work for you, please email me so we can make alternative arrangements. Now I want to focus on the last 3 weeks of the semester. So this week is week 15, and this week we're going to kick off Video Project 3, and we're going to attend required office hours. So here's week 15. You can see that I'm assigning Video Project 3 today, and then on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, we have required office hours between noon and 6 p.m. each day. Next week, week 16, is actually the last week of classes. You're going to continue working on Video Project 3, and I will be releasing one final instructional video for the semester. And then finally, the week of finals, which is week 17, you need to complete your Video Project 3. Your Video Project 3 is due on December 14th by midnight. Now, I know some of you are very busy with work, with other classes and other commitments. If you absolutely feel like you need one more weekend to work on your class, that's okay. But the absolute latest due date for Video Project 3 is that Sunday evening, which is December 16th at midnight. So let's talk a little bit about Video Project 3. The long and short of it is anything goes. The topic and production style of this video is completely up to you. Do something that inspires you, that you're interested in. It can be experimental. It can be something related to your work. Anything that motivates you and is education in nature is just fine. Now, try to keep the length of your video within reason, around the 3-minute mark. There's no need to hand in a storyboard or submit raw footage. You're going to go through the production process completely on your own. And of course, your goal is to produce an original, high-quality educational video. So the production style, whether it's chalk and talk, another talking head video, or if you want to try a conversational video or interview someone, that's up to you. Video Project 3 is completely in your hands. Now, I want to bring us back to this diagram in order to talk a little bit about what we're going to be covering in the final weeks. I want to talk a little bit about the technical aspects of audio quality and the relationship between audio quality and people's perceptions of competence and quality. And I'll be talking a little bit about that today in session 15. And then in session 16, we're going to bounce back out to education theory, and we're going to be focusing on some of the unique ways that video has been used in educational contexts. So that should be a lot of fun, and I think it will be an inspiring note to end on. So with that, let's talk about the role of audio. Something we haven't really talked about this week is the answer to this question. To what extent does audio quality matter in the visual medium of video? And so I want to try to speak to that question. So I did that by drawing on this article called Good Sound, Good Research, How Audio Quality Influences Perceptions of the Research and Researcher. And this is a 2018 article from Science Communication. And essentially, Newman and Schwartz argued that cognitive tasks can be described along a continuum from effortless to highly effortful. And because of that, that produces a corresponding metacognitive experience that ranges from fluent to disfluent. Now, importantly, psychological research shows that when messages are difficult to process, people think they are less compelling. In fact, there's quite a bit of evidence that establishes that incidental variables can create a feeling of disfluency that leads people to generate lower impressions of a message and a messenger. Now, what do I mean by incidental variables? Well, that can be the color contrast of the print font. It can be the accent of the speaker. It can be the ease with which the name of a source can be pronounced. It can be whether or not the source material rhymes. Those are all examples of incidental variables that can influence the degree to which people evaluate a message and a messenger, even though, of course, they have nothing to do with the actual message and or the messenger. And all of those incidental variables have been supported and found to have an impact in empirical research. So the question that Newman and Schwartz wanted to answer was, how does sound quality alter listeners' impressions of science and scientists? So to answer that question, they used the following method. They asked participants to watch 2 conference talks from YouTube videos. The acoustic quality of those videos was altered to either be high quality audio or low quality audio. Now, participants watched both of those talks and then they rated the quality of those talks, the intelligence of the speaker, how much they like the speaker, and the importance of the research that the talk was about. So, what did they find? Well, let's walk through their specific research questions. So the first question they asked was, how does the audio quality of a video influence viewers' evaluations of the research and researcher? And you can see on the left-hand side, we have a rating scale from 1 to 5. The lower the score, the more negative the impression. The higher the score, the more positive the evaluation. And then you can see along the x-axis, the bottom axis, we have 4 categories. Was the talk good? Was the speaker smart? Did the participant like the speaker? And was the research deemed important? What did the researchers find? Well, here are the results. Here you can see that the purple, or the high quality audio video, significantly outscored the low quality audio video. And that difference was statistically significant. The same pattern was found for whether or not the speaker was smart, although the difference was less than whether or not the talk was good. We see a similar pattern with whether or not the participants like the speaker, and again, this was a significant difference between these 2 ratings, and whether or not they thought the research was important. And again, this was a statistically significant difference between the 2 versions of the video. This tells us that yes, audio quality of video does influence viewers' evaluations of the research and the researcher. Now, their second research question asked, does the subject matter of a talk mediate the role of audio quality on evaluations of research and researcher quality? And so to answer this question, they compared a physics talk to an engineering talk. Now, I won't go through all of the results one by one, but the short answer is that the subject matter of the talk doesn't seem to mediate the role of audio quality. We're seeing very similar differences here for the physics talk. And again, we're seeing a very similar pattern between the high quality audio and the low quality audio for an engineering talk. So I wanted to share all of this with you because I think it's important that we acknowledge how important audio quality is when it comes to our educational videos. So the next question, of course, when thinking about the role of audio is, well, what are the characteristics of good audio or of a good voice? So I did a little bit of exploring on this, and I found an interesting article from 2013 titled, What Makes a Good Voice for Radio? Perceptions of Radio Employers and Educators. And this is from the Journal of Voice. Essentially, this particular study argued that radio performers use their vocal communication skills to elicit a particular listener response by being entertaining, informative, or persuasive. This particular study aimed to determine the attributes of successful radio performers as perceived by Australian radio employers and educators. Obviously, this was conducted in Australia. So the 2 questions that were asked in the study is, what do radio employers and educators believe makes a good voice for radio? And what do radio employers and educators perceive to be important when employing radio performers across different speaking roles? Now, in their literature review, they came up with a lot of communicative characteristics of radio performers, and I wanted to share those with all of you. Radio performers have a well-defined articulatory pattern and flawless enunciation. They have correct and/or acceptable pronunciation. They effectively use pause, timing, and emphasis, as well as variability in pitch, loudness, and tone. Their speech rate is not too fast or too slow. They can do a cold reading of material. They have a clear voice and a clarity of speech. Their voice is pleasant and of good quality, which was often defined as beautiful, rich, warm, and resonant. They had vocal flexibility and a versatile, resistant voice. Their voice was natural and they had a conversational delivery style. Their voice was fairly low. And importantly, they had a good personality. And that was classified as a personality that was pleasant, natural, full of vitality, friendly, adaptable, confident, showing initiative, extroversion, sincere, and honest. So those are some of the communicative characteristics of effective radio performers. Now, this is a funny Venn diagram that was in this particular article, but I wanted to share it with you. The highlighting is not mine. This was actually in the article itself. But what you could see here is they looked at people in different roles, whether they were announcers, newsreaders, or voiceover artists. And what they found by interviewing radio employers and educators is that people in different roles, whether they're announcers or newsreaders, have different characteristics. If you really focus on the center of that Venn diagram, some of the key characteristics emerge. Across all of those roles, people are looking for voices that suit the actual station or the purpose of the radio program. There was emphasis on gender and vernacular style. They were looking for a certain type of animation and liveliness, a depth of pitch and pronunciation. And importantly, those folks had the ability to listen to their own performances in an objective way. And then finally, if you just look at the top cross section between announcers and newsreaders, they have the ability to convey content with a personality. So I wanted to share that with you as we think a little bit about the role of audio and its importance in educational video. Now, finally, I want to talk a little bit about how fast you should speak. And I really did a lot of reading to try to find whether or not there is an ideal words per minute that you should use when you can speak. Now, some people claim that for voice casts or recording voiceovers that you want to speak about 120 words per minute. And actually, here's a little bit of information. People have analyzed TED Talks and how fast people speak in those. However, some people argue that TED Talks are so artificial, they're really rehearsed speeches, that you really shouldn't pay attention to them. And while I was searching this, I actually came across this really excellent article called Public Speaking, How Fast to Speak. This is by Charles Crawford, and it's just a blog post, but he argues that there's really a huge difference in the options a speaker has for conveying tone, authority, impact, and humor. And he argues that it's really not about words per minute. And what Charles Crawford has done here is given us two side-by-side samples. So one of them is from Barack Obama's 2008 victory speech, where he speaks at 149 words per minute. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
This election had many firsts and many stories that will be told for generations, but one that's on my mind tonight is about a woman who cast her ballot in Atlanta. She is a lot like the millions of others who stood in line to make their voice heard in this election, except for one thing. Ann Nixon Cooper is 106 years old. She was born just a generation past slavery, a time when there were no cars on the road or planes in the sky, when someone like her couldn't vote for two reasons: because she was a woman and because of the color of her skin. And tonight, I think about all that she's seen throughout her century in America: the heartache and the hope, the struggle and the progress, the times we were told that we can't, and the people who pressed on with that American creed: yes, we can. At a time when women's voices were silenced and their hopes dismissed, She lived to see them stand up and speak out and reach for the ballot. Yes, we can. When there was despair in the Dust Bowl and depression across the land, she saw a nation conquer fear itself with a new deal, new jobs, a new sense of common purpose. Yes, we can. When the bombs fell on our harbor and tyranny threatened the world, she was there to witness a generation rise to greatness and a democracy was saved. Yes, we can. She was there for the buses in Montgomery, the hoses in Birmingham, a bridge in Selma, and a preacher from Atlanta who told the people that we shall overcome. Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So that's Obama obviously speaking extremely effectively at about 150 words per minute. Now, let's contrast that with this clip of Jim Carrey speaking at the 2016 Golden Globes. Now, what you'll notice is he is speaking much slower at 89 words per minute. But of course, it is extremely effective and powerful in the way he delivers this.
From the upcoming film True Crimes, please welcome two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey.
Thank you. I am two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey. You know, when I go to sleep at night, I'm not just a guy going to sleep. I'm two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey, going to get some well-needed shut-eye. And when I dream, I don't just dream any old dream. No, sir. I dream about being three-time Golden Globe winning actor Jim Carrey. Because then I would be enough. It would finally be true. And I could stop this terrible search for what I know ultimately won't fulfill me. But these are important, these awards. I don't want you to think that just because if you blew up our solar system alone, you wouldn't be able to find us or any of human history with the naked eye. But from our perspective, this is huge.
Okay, everyone, that's a little bit of information about the role of audio in designing digital video. We're out of time for today. Have a great week. I'll see you in Canvas.